Imagine this. You're standing in front of a path covered in burning hot embers. The air is thick with heat, the fire's glow brushing against your face. And then suddenly, dozens of people step barefoot onto those flames and start walking. No shoes to protect them, no magical ointment on their feet. And the shocking thing, their skin doesn't even blister. You can't help but ask yourself, is this real? Is it some kind of illusion? Is it just blind faith, or is there actual science hidden in all of this? Today I want to take you to Sri Lanka, where for centuries Buddhist monks have walked across fire as part of their tradition. And later, I'll tell you about an experiment at Oxford University, where scientists discovered that faith and doubt can literally rewire the human body. Because this isn't just about firewalking, it's about that hidden power inside each of us, a force that can turn the impossible into possible if we have just one thing: faith. The firewalking tradition in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, the festival of Buddha Purnima isn't limited to lighting lamps or offering prayers. On this sacred night, a tradition unfolds that has left even Western scientists astonished. For centuries, Buddhist monks have walked barefoot across glowing embers. This ritual goes back to the ancient Theravada tradition. Monks believe that fire is not only something that burns, but something that purifies. Just as metal is refined when placed in fire, walking across flames symbolizes the purification of the soul. And when a monk steps onto the fire, it isn't just about showing courage. Behind every step lies deep meditation. They practice anapanasati, mindfulness of breath. Each step is taken with the awareness, breath going in, breath going out. I am not this body, I am pure consciousness. So even though fire blazes beneath their feet, their inner awareness becomes so steady that the brain never even registers pain. This is what modern neuroscience calls the pain-gating mechanism. When the mind is fully absorbed, pain signals traveling through the nerves get blocked before they reach the brain. But that's not all. In Sri Lankan villages, people believe the ritual also works through collective energy. When thousands of voices chant mantras together, the atmosphere is charged with what they call a psychic vibration. The monks tune themselves into this vibration, and fear dissolves. Scientists today would call this an altered state of consciousness, a state where the normal rules of the body and mind no longer function the same way they do in everyday life. So to dismiss this as just faith would be incomplete. This tradition is really a living example of three things: the power of meditation, the strength of collective consciousness, and the victory of spirit over fear and pain. When monks walk across those embers, they're not just walking with their feet, they're walking with a science that says, when consciousness awakens, even the laws of nature bow down. The Oxford experiment. In the early 1900s, at the peak of Europe's age of science and reason, something unusual happened. Sri Lankan monks were invited to England so their firewalking tradition could be tested under strict scientific conditions. Oxford University organized the experiment with full seriousness. The hall was filled with hundreds of researchers. Thermometers measured the temperature. It wasn't just ordinary fire. High-speed cameras recorded every step. Doctors stood by, fully expecting serious injuries. And then the moment arrived. The monks lined up, chanting softly, eyes lost in a world within. The first monk stepped onto the embers. His feet seemed to glide rather than touch. Then came the second, the third, the fourth. 19 monks crossed the fire. No screams, no burns, not even a trace of pain. And then came the 20th monk. His face looked uneasy. As soon as he stepped forward, he froze. Within seconds, smoke rose from his feet. He screamed in agony. Science and faith were both faced with a new question. Why were 19 unharmed but one got burned? The investigation revealed the answer. This man wasn't a deep practitioner. He wasn't a true monk at all, just someone tagging along out of curiosity. He had no faith, only doubt. And that doubt made all the difference. Fire doesn't show mercy. But when consciousness is filled with unshakable faith, the body's pain signals are transformed. In neuroscience, this means faith actually reprograms the brain's pain perception circuitry. For the true monks, the fire never registered as pain. But for the doubtful man, his nervous system treated it as a deadly threat. His body instantly produced the sensation of burning. This wasn't just a religious test. It was proof. The difference between faith and doubt reaches deep into the biology of the body. For the first time in Oxford's halls, science began to accept that faith isn't superstition. Faith is a biological force that can literally reshape reality. Stories from around the world. And examples of this aren't limited to Sri Lanka. They appear all around the world. In America, a 65-year-old man was told he had only 3 months to live. He believed it and died exactly 3 months later. But his autopsy showed no trace of cancer. He hadn't died of illness, and he died of belief. In Japan, people were told they had been exposed to radiation. Even those who weren't exposed began losing hair and developing burns. That was the power of doubt. In the Himalayas, yogis raised their body temperature by 17 degrees Celsius through a practice called tummo meditation. Stanford researchers watched as these monks dried freezing wet cloths on their bodies within minutes, simply because they believed their body could generate heat like fire. You've probably heard of the placebo effect. When patients are given sugar pills but told it's medicine, their bodies often heal. Why? Because belief changes their brain chemistry. MRI scans show the brain's pain control centers activating, as if the body created its own drug. On the other hand, there's the nocebo effect. If someone is told a harmless pill will harm them, their body reacts with real side effects. Doubt becomes poison. In India's Kumbh Mela, ascetics have been observed surviving for months without food or water. Science calls it the breatharian phenomenon, but the practitioners say it's faith and discipline that fuel them. At Harvard, researchers found that when people believed their daily activities, like climbing stairs or lifting groceries, counted as exercise, they lost weight and improved blood pressure. Their belief literally changed their metabolism. The message is clear. Faith isn't confined to temples or prayers. Faith transforms every place where the mind and body meet. Believe you are capable, and your brain reshapes your body's limits. Believe you are weak, and even the simplest task feels impossible. Faith and doubt may be invisible, but their effects reach deep into your cells. Faith lowers blood pressure, strengthens immunity, balances hormones. Doubt does the opposite. It disrupts these very systems. Faith isn't just belief. It's a biological code that rewrites both the body and reality itself. The English professor's story. On the same day at Oxford, another remarkable moment unfolded. Among the spectators stood an English professor, not a monk, not a spiritual seeker, not a religious man. He was simply a scientist observing. But when he saw those monks walking across fire unharmed, something inside him shifted. This wasn't theory or scripture. This was direct experience right before his eyes. The invisible wall in his mind, the one that said, "This is impossible," collapsed. In that moment, pure faith awakened in him. Without years of practice, without rituals, without mantras, he stepped onto the fire, and he made it to the other side completely safe. The monks were astonished, because his experience proved something profound. Faith is not tied to religion. Faith is a universal human power that, when awakened, can make the impossible possible. Psychologists today call this a peak experience, a moment when the conscious and subconscious mind merge completely. Fear dissolves, doubt melts away. What remains is pure confidence. Neuroscience explains that in such peak moments, the brain releases a flood of dopamine and endorphins, chemicals that make the body nearly immune to pain. The professor's faith literally rewired his biology. The lesson? Faith is not just a religious word, it is a universal quality of human consciousness. When belief outweighs doubt, the door to the impossible opens. Philosophical message. Now think about it. Fire isn't just outside. Life itself throws fire at us. Exams, failures, broken relationships, financial struggles. But the real question is, will this fire burn you, or will you walk through it? The answer depends on your mind. If the voice inside says, "I can't do it," stress hormones like cortisol rise. The brain falters, the body weakens, and failure becomes real. But if the voice says, "I can do it," the body releases dopamine and serotonin, calming the brain, energizing the body, and preparing you to overcome challenges. Faith and doubt aren't just ideas. They're forces that change biology. The Stoics said, "Obstacles are not barriers, they are training." Eastern philosophy teaches, fire doesn't just burn, it purifies. Both point to the same truth. Challenges don't break you, they shape you. What matters is not the fire outside, but the state within. Conclusion. So what's the lesson from this journey? Every time life's fire stands in front of you, remember, the real power isn't outside, it's inside. External circumstances are just mirrors reflecting what's within. Science shows that a positive belief can rewire the entire nervous system. Spirituality says the same faith connects us to the universe itself. Together they tell us, faith isn't just a feeling, it's energy that gives direction to life. So when challenges come, fear of exams, financial crises, relationship struggles, don't just see them as problems, see them as opportunities to discover how strong your faith really is. If doubt dominates, the fire will burn you. If faith dominates, the fire will refine you. Every person carries an invisible shield. It doesn't come from money, power, or rituals. It's forged only from faith. Faith in yourself, in life, and in the higher consciousness that guides us all. And that is the science of faith. So the next time life lays a path of fire before you, don't avoid it. Because maybe that fire didn't come to burn you, maybe it came to make you shine.